Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to the video. So in this video, I'm going to be going through my top 3 stocks for this upcoming week that I'm buying, and also going to go through some past picks, last week's picks, how they performed, my updated thesis on those, and also some longer term trades, some trades I've been getting questions about, and everything like that. So without further ado, let's get on into the video. So the first stock we called out last week was Spirit Aerosystems, ticker symbol SPR. Now this stock had a pretty flat week, finished down 2% for the week after those big dips on Monday and Tuesday. It broke below support, but it did reclaim the support. So this is one that I'm still very confident in for the longer term. This is a longer term / midterm trade. I'm looking for at least the span of 2 to 3 months. And my target is still $50 to $60 in that time span, as I do still see this gap up playing out, and this is a long-term trade, not a short-term trade. Next up, we talked about HAVN Life Sciences, ticker symbol HAVLF. We talked about how hot the psychedelic sector has been with tickers such as MMEDF, OKYSF. So this stock had a huge gap up on Monday with the rest of the psychedelic stocks, going up all the way to $1.25, trended down, hit support, balanced right off support, and right now it's hitting right at around 90 cents per share. This one we called that right at 80 cents per share, and we did get that run up to 120. This one that does have more upside, it does need to hold the support level, but it is a high risk, high reward stock because it is a penny stock. So always be careful with pennies, have your stop loss in, know the risks, but there is great potential reward. It is going to depend on the sector as a whole for more running. Next up, we call that Dermtek, ticker symbol DMTK. This stock had a huge week. We talked about the pattern that is forming, which I'll show in a second, and just how the 70% short float, if it breaks out, this stock is going to run out like crazy. So we saw this big breakout. It ran all the way up from the beginning of the week being at $11. This ran up to all the way to $18.97 at highs. It trended down, did have a pretty healthy pullback. It's now sitting at $15.45. I did take full profits on my position at about $17.80, but I am looking back as I do expect to bounce off this trend line after the breakout. This is the perfect pattern that you want to get back in. If it can trend down to that trend line, bounce right off, that is where it looks strong, and I do expect a further run and it to hit even higher highs in my personal opinion. Still valued very low in my opinion, and after this consolidation phase, I think we'd see a lot of running up after this breakout. So this is stock I'm looking to get back in. And finally, the last stock from last week was Hanes Brands International, ticker symbol HBI. So this stock had a very steady, strong week. It closed up about 4% for the week, went from about $13.70, finished the week at $14.43. Very steady climber, and I still do have a price target of around $15 to $16. So this is a very steady stock, and the thesis is going to the holiday season. I do think that their champion brand is undervalued, and the growth is just not valued in yet. So I do think this will go on a pretty easy run back up to the $16 range. Alright, so those are last week's callouts. Now we can take a look at some longer term trades that I've talked about for the month of December and other ones that I've talked about in the past. So let's take a look at those. So first up, we have Activision Blizzard. I called this out right when it started breaking out at $79 per share. It proceeded to run up all the way up to my price target at $90. I did end up taking profits right at around resistance level. I think I took profits right at around $88, and it did proceed to hit my price target. So I took my profits here. If it pulls back, I'll be interested in getting back in, but for now, I'm happy with the profits that I took, and it was a very successful trade, over 10% overall, and the options were up even more. Next up on my long-term trades, Hyliion, ticker symbol HYLN. This has been a very weak performer lately, but I'm not worried at all about the short term. I've talked about this as a very long-term trade for me. What I'm playing with this stock is the hype coming back around this sector and this company as a whole. All it takes is one PR release, one partnership opportunity, and this stock is going to go nuts in my personal opinion. It could go back to the $30 to $40 range pretty quickly if we do get PR. So that's my thesis on this. I'm holding strong, have not sold a single share yet. Next up, Rocket Mortgage, ticker symbol RKT. This is one that we talked about, the reverse head and shoulders breakout. We started to get that breakout. It did hit the resistance at $22.50, reversed off of that, but the good sign that we saw here is it bounced right off that trend line once again. So I do think we're due for a run back up to $22.50. If we can break that $22.50 resistance line, we'll be due for a run up to $24. Now, if it does hit $24, that's where I expect the price target to come in of $25 plus. So I'm still holding this trade strong, looking to add at this point, as long as it does bounce off this trend line, which it is starting to do right now. So still very confident in the trade, very confident in the value overall. Next up, a trade that I was buying at the lows, Tattooed Chef, ticker symbol TTCF. This stock is getting absolutely crazy hype all over social media right now. So this one that I was buying super heavy from the range of $14 to $16. Now it is sitting at over $20, getting hype from everybody in the industry. I called this out on my Instagram that day that it hit its lows. Before it hit its lows, I called it out at $15.24. This is pre-market. This day that I posted, it proceeded to run down to $14. People were pissed that I called this out, that they were buying at $15 instead of $14. And now look at this stock sitting at over $22. So quick plug for the Instagram at the.stockwatch. Give me a follow. Lots of winners. Of course, some losers along the way. You can't win everything. But Tattooed Chef was one of my biggest winners. Another one that I called out a while back, Corsair Gaming, ticker symbol CRSR. Called this one out at $27.08. This one proceeded to run up almost 100% since my call out, up to $50 plus. I think the highs were at $52. Now it has trended down. It is trading at a healthier valuation of $35, and I do think this is a buying opportunity to get back in on this opportunity, and I may be talking about this in a future video. And also the last one, SolarEdge Technologies, ticker symbol SEDG, called this one out on the huge drop at $203.70. The stock is now trading for $314.50. So a very successful trade right there as well. So quick update on those. Had to plug the Instagram as well. So now let's get into this week's picks and my thesis on those. Let's get into it. So the first stock I'm going to be playing this week is Palantir, ticker symbol PLTR. So my thesis on this one is with the technical pattern. So we can see the stock at highs of $33. Since then, it's been consolidating within this wedge. It has been holding its higher low pattern and its lower high pattern, starting the consolidation phase, and it is due for a breakout. Once it does break out of this wedge, I could see a big move to the upside, possibly getting back to all-time highs. The first target would be to break $30, and then it would be to get to highs. So if we can break out of this wedge, I would expect to run to $30. If we do break $30, that's when I would expect to run up to the highs. And also, as we can see, taking a look at the RSI indicator on the bottom of the screen, we can see that this stock is forming bullish divergence. So what does this mean? When the stock is going slightly downwards, the RSI is going slightly upwards. As you can see, I drew that trend line where you can see it's trending up. So having bullish divergence on the RSI, that's a very good indicator showing for the next move up. And if we do trend upwards, break out of this wedge, I think this stock is due for a very big move. Like I was saying, first target 30, next target highs. After that, we can hit all-time highs and run up from there. So Palantir is the first stock that I'm playing. It's been getting crazy hype. This one as well has been getting crazy hype on social media, especially on Reddit. Wall Street Bets is all over this one. So we know the hype is going to lead people to get FOMO, buy into this when it starts breaking out. If it does break out, of course. It does have to break out first, but when it does break out, I can see a lot of FOMO happening, and I can see the stock getting back up to the mid-30s if it does follow this breakout pattern. Alright, so the next stock I'm going to be talking about is SBE. This can be the merger with ChargePoint. So this company is expected to complete the merger with ChargePoint in mid-January. I believe the estimated date is right at January 15th. So my personal thesis on this is there's going to be increasing hype leading into the merger. I think we could see $50 plus pretty easily. And taking a look at the technicals, we can see that this stock is in an ascending triangle formation. The stock is on its way to breaking out of that $40 resistance line. If it does, it should get back up to the $44 range. And if it breaks out of that, that's when we hit highs of $50 plus, in my opinion. I could very easily see the stock going to over $50 right before the merger. If not more, it's holding a very strong pattern. Now it does still have to hold this trend line. It does still have to hold this ascending triangle pattern to follow the breakout. So beware, have your stop loss if it does break to the downward direction. But I do very much so like the chances. And a pattern that I could see this following is if it breaks out of $40, I could see it hitting that $44 resistance line, turning back down, bouncing back off $40, and then hitting highs. So that's the pattern that I could see it following. Now we'd also just see a ton of hype when it starts breaking out, run all the way past highs, get up to $50 or around that range, and just not hit any resistance lines. I could see that as well. There's just a lot of scenarios that could play out overall. And also one of the past presidential debates, we heard Biden say that he wants to put in 500,000 charging stations, and he did reiterate this actually this Saturday, so that could lead to more hype, more buying pressure, and everything like that. And also comparing it to industry competitors such as Blink Charging, let's take a look at the valuation real quick. So ChargePoint in 2019 reported a revenue number of $147 million, and Blink Charging reported a 2019 revenue of right under $3 million. So that is a massive differential. Now we can see where the companies are valued at. So Blink Charging is valued right over $1 billion, and ChargePoint at this current price is valued right around $10 billion. So a 10 to 1 valuation, I do think that is undervaluing ChargePoint by the sector. By ChargePoint is having over 40 times the revenue of Blink, and Blink is valued around 1/10 of ChargePoint. I do think ChargePoint should be valued more closer to at least 20 times. Either Blink is overvalued or ChargePoint is undervalued. Now I do think the sector is always going to be overvalued, trading at a premium. But I do think that ChargePoint could go on a run post-merger up to $100, best case scenario. And I do think very easily the stock could run on hype up to $50 pre-merger. So that's my thesis on this trade. And ChargePoint has said that in 2027, they do expect their revenues to exceed $2 billion plus. So that's just showing the growth they expect. It's not a stagnant company. This company has a ton of room for growth. It is the leader in the industry. And if people are flooding money into these EV charging stocks, I do think that it should be ChargePoint and not Blink. So for that reason, I could see a ton of hype just going back to ChargePoint, especially if the sector gets hot again. Alright, so the next stock that I'm going to be talking about in this video, this is BigCommerce, ticker symbol BIGC. This is one that I called out a couple weeks ago, and it proceeded to run up from $70 up to around $83. Now I'm calling this stock out again. Right now it's sitting at about $71 per share. This stock has pretty strong support right at $70. Now I would be careful if this stock does break down because it is in a descending triangle formation. That is usually a bearish formation if it does not break out. But if this stock does break out of this formation and breaks to the upside, gets out of the downtrending trend line, I think this stock could break out and go on a very big run. Reason because you guys know that I love my high short float breakout plays. This stock has about a 30% short float. So when and if it does break out, I think this stock could go on a very big run once again and a very quick run back up to $80 at the least, potentially $90 to $100 to the upside if it does reach that full upside and does follow the breakout pattern all the way. Alright, so I'm going to throw one more stock in the video. This stock is Facebook, ticker symbol FB. So this stock is also forming a big wedge formation and it has been showing a ton of strength. So looking at the chart, we can see using this trend line, every time that it has dipped below the trend line, it shows a ton of strength, bouncing right back within the pattern. So that is a very good sign, and I do think the stock is due for a breakout. If it does break out, that's where we can see the big move back to highs of around $300. So I personally do think that Facebook has a very good chance of playing out to the upside. And the reason that Facebook has been dipping so much is because of all the antitrust lawsuits. So let's talk about worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, that Facebook gets divided up into two companies or so. Let's say Instagram is one of the companies, Facebook, Oculus is one of the other companies, and WhatsApp is in there somewhere, who knows. So what I think could happen, first of all, if you're holding Facebook shares, you would obviously get the shares off the split, so you get a share of Instagram stock, you get a share of Facebook stock, and Oculus and WhatsApp would be in there somewhere as well, of course. So if the company does have to split up, I think Instagram would run wild, kind of like an IPO. We see Airbnb doubling the first day at IPOs. It kind of has an IPO type reaction. I think Instagram stock could go wild, double in valuation very quickly, just because, as we know, these hype stocks, people see rapid growth in. People use the apps, kind of we see with Airbnb. Everybody uses that, so everybody wants to invest in that. They like the product. As we know, everybody loves Instagram. I think Instagram stock would go absolutely nuts. So worst case scenario, I don't see a worst case scenario. Even if the stock does split, I think good things could come out of that as well, and potentially be even a beneficial scenario if the stock did have to split. So that's my thoughts on the antitrust lawsuits against Facebook. Now, we have seen these lawsuits before with Google and everything like that, so it is not likely to play out. I do think these worries are overblown and the stock has been showing weakness for no reason. That's my personal thoughts on the situation. Also, if you want to join the private stock group, that link is down below. Every time I buy and sell a stock, I send an alert to the group, not so you can copy my trades, but you can get ideas, learn off my trades. Every night I send out a nightly watch list of the stocks that I plan to play the next day and opportunities. Any questions you have about any specific stocks or anything like that, I'll answer them in the group for you. And you can talk with any other group members, anything like that, and also have full access to my personal portfolio. Also, if you want to get 4 free stocks on Webull, that does end at the end of December, so I highly recommend you get those 4 free stocks now. $10 free on Coinbase, so you can buy some Dogecoin, of course. Elon Musk loves that one. Also, $5 free in Acorn investing. You can't go wrong with free money. Those are affiliate links, so I do benefit off that. It does help support the channel, and I would greatly appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, I would greatly appreciate it if you do. Like the video, leave me a comment your thoughts on these stocks or any other stocks you think have big opportunities. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Good luck to everybody this week, and let's get rich, baby.